Sir, start avale. Welcome to Practically. This is Nagrani. Today we are going to learn an interesting topic from social science. I hope many joined today. It's an interesting topic to know from history. I would like to see a few people here. Okay, let us begin our session today. As usually, I want to tell you the NTSE was an important opportunity for every student to utilize in a right format where you can represent yourselves in the higher education, where the subsidies or whatever the benefits you can achieve through this NTSE examinations overall your course of education system. Please concentrate on NTSE classes, and especially social science has a more weightage. Okay, today we are going to learn an interesting topic in social science, that is revolutions in Europe. Revolution is a word which says, the word revolution which says that a sudden change, okay, a change which occurs in the society. It's called a revolution. A change should come. We can't live, if you take an example of present scenario like a COVID-19 situation, we have in all the areas, even in the education system and in every field of working areas, we have adapted to our online system, and we have even adapted for a work from home system. Okay, so as we have updated to the present scenarios, in the same way, revolution in the sense that where the sudden change comes. Okay, so what are these changes which have come in Europe, we are going to learn in today's class. So from where these changes have begun. So the changes have come from Europe. The people were only under the monarchical system. Autocracy rule of system was existing, where the monarchs were the superiors, and where people were completely dominated in all categories. People do not have any certain of rights and all. People did not enjoy any privileges, and they were completely suppressed by these authorities. So let us see why today even we are reading about Europe, in the sense that Europe was a continent where the first people have come up with different changes, rights and all. Okay, let us see what is this revolution. We will read in this topic two major revolutions. One is French Revolution, the other one is Russian Revolution. So first we'll read French Revolution, then follows Russian Revolution. French was a country in the Europe, and important nation in the Europe, which has given a path to European countries as well as many of the world countries. By looking at the French Revolution, many countries, people started fighting for their rights. They were protesting, they were agitating among their nations, and finally today we see their new form of a system of government, that is democratic form of government. Let us have a look in detail the French Revolution, and then follows Russian Revolution. See, the French Revolution, in point of NTSE, it focused what was an outcome of the revolution. What was an outcome of French Revolution? The outcome is nothing but it has brought liberty, equality, fraternity. The French Revolution has made the people to realize what is liberty, what is equality, what is fraternity. Okay, the French Revolution has brought the change among the France people that liberty is nothing but getting free from the monarchical rules or autocratic rules, and maintaining all group of people are equal in front of law. Okay, that came from the French Revolution. And fraternity, maintaining a brotherhood nation, and different types of movements have took place in this French Revolution. Let us go in detail. What is this French Revolution? Let's. The French Revolution, and one of the important factor, even it end the monarchical rule, and that was also one of the point to be noted, children. The French Revolution has brought end of monarchical rule in 1789. Okay, you need to be noted down this year. Even 1789 to 1815 was a moment we read in this French Revolution, that is from 1789 to 1815. There are several changes in the France. So France was followed by many other nations. So that's why even the France has become a role model to many of the nations. And regarding this, let us have now what, from where this sudden change has come, from how the people have changed their mindset, how the society was existing during the French Revolution, we are going to learn in detail today. Okay, before going for that, let us have one statement over here, a question for you all children. When did the storming of the Bastille took place? When did the storming of Bastille took place? Yes? Any of them? You can answer. When did the storming of a Bastille took place? It's 14th July 1789, 14th July 1798, 14th June 1789 and 14th June 1798. So which was the right year where the Bastille was stormed? Where the Bastille has been stormed? Bastille is nothing but it's a prison where the despotism of monarchical rule in the France. So it was stormed, in the sense demolished. So when did it happen? So that was the question. So the answer is 14th July 1789. This was the right answer. 1789, it was a year. On 14th July, this incident occurred in the France, in the Paris city. So you may have also a question that in which city the Bastille demolition was took place also. It's nothing but a Paris city in France. Okay. Manoj, you are wrong. The answer is A. Okay. So let us have a detail. What happened in this battle? Where is the Bastille and how it was, and what happened before this demolition? Why the people have demolished this Bastille? Why the storm against this Bastille? Let us have a detailed look over this image. So before going to this Bastille, before going for the storming of the Bastille, the day where the revolution is begun is 1789, that is 14th July. Before going for this situation, we need to know how was the France first. Okay, how was the France? Who was a monarch ruling it, and what were the society system and how it was existing? We need to have a look over that. Before that, let us have a look over here. So here you can see this was a monarch, the king who was ruling the country, and he have come to a throne in 1774. The new king, he has come from Bourbon dynasty. Please be noted children, Bourbon is a dynasty, okay, which is very famous dynasty, Bourbon dynasty. From Bourbon dynasty, this a king name is Louis XVI. So like that, there are Louis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by 15, and the 16th prince, when he has come to the post, when he has come to throne in 1774, he was actually in 1774 he got married and he was ascended the throne. Okay, so when he was at 20 years of age, and the queen name is Mary Antoinette. Mary Antoinette. Why we even read about this lady? She is a very luxurious person and she was an Austrian prince. So please be noted this point, even she belongs to a Austria. Not Australia, it's Austria. So she belongs to a Austria. So this prince, she was a luxurious person and she used to spend a lot of money on different expenditures. Okay, so her name you can see Mary Antoinette, and when he has come to the throne and the king was facing a crucial situation, that is nothing but the treasury was completely empty. The treasury was empty. Why the treasury was empty during this? As soon as he ascended the throne, the treasury was empty. Why in the France means the France was engaged with different types of activities. There are many activities, but majorly you need to be noted down that three main reasons. What are the three main reasons? Means the reason one is that first of all, the France has engaged with wars with different countries. France, first reason is engaged with wars with many countries. Continuous invading or war with many countries, you can note it down. Okay, continuously. Second reason is that there was a palace in the Paris city, that is Versailles. The palace name is Versailles. Okay, so this palace was an immersive palace and it an extravagant palace, and which has been a mirrored palace, and maintenance of the palace was very expenditure, and due to that even the treasury was empty. The second reason is maintenance of palace. You may get a question in NTSE which is not the reason for the treasury empty. So you should see these three main reasons, and which is not, you can pick it out, or which is a reason also, you may get a question like that. Okay, maintenance of palace, that is Versailles palace. Okay, third one is France helped the countries, especially Britain. The France has helped the country Britain. France helped the country which is against the Britain for USA. So France has helped the USA to get independent from France, to get independence from Britain. So at that moment, the USA was engaged with 13 states. Okay, in USA there were 13 colonies. How many colonies? Please be noted this point, even how many colonies when there was an independent in the USA, that is 13 colonies. These 13 colonies were struggling to get independent from the Britain. In that course of time, France has helped the USA to get freedom from the Britain. Please be noted this point. So that was also one of the reason to help the 13 colonies of USA is a reason 3. Okay, so these are the main 3 reasons why the treasury was empty. Okay, so in that, one more point to be noted here, France currency was called livre. France currency was called livre. Livre is nothing but it's a currency of France. Okay, France currency was called livres. So billions of livres were spent on maintenance of the palace and also on wars and even different activities like 13 colonies countries. In that also it has debited in all the areas, and that was the reason for that. You can see that financially resources were completely drowned. You can see here that 2 billion livres, please be noted this point children, 2 billion livres. Okay, and in such cases, please be noted this point, even in such cases, the France king, the Louis XVI, king name is Louis XVI. So Louis XVI want to increase tax. His income source is nothing. The kings have income sources from taxes. Okay, so first and the foremost thing is to increase taxes. So you think of increasing the tax. Okay, so let us see now what happens when he thinks to increase the taxes. That was the first situation. Okay, next see another situation here. Here you have a question, children. Why was the subsistence crisis? Yes, French Revolution was. Okay, you can see over here, why was the subsistence crisis caused in France? Okay, why was subsistence crisis occur in the France? Okay, so what was the reason there was a crisis in the subsistence, shortage of food? Okay, what was the reason here? The wages of the people was low, there was a widespread of unemployment, increase in population lead to rapid increase in the demand of food grains, and the government imposed various taxes. Yes. Yes, what was the answer here? Increase in the population lead to rapid decrease in the, this C option will be the right answer. Okay, so you can see that there was, why this point to be noted, children, in the France during the 1789 period, there was a population was increasing rapidly. So when the population was increasing, the food grains production was reduced. It was unable to meet the demands of the growth of the population. So in such cases, there was a crisis. Okay, so we can also say that how this subsistence crisis happened here. There is another reason. Even there was harvests were not proper, there was no proper production, even yielding was less, bad harvest. So when there is a bad harvest, scarcity of grains, and this rise for prices more. Okay, food prices have been increased. So during in course of time, what happens there, the poor as are no longer able to buy even a piece of bread. So in such cases, there was also food riots took place, and many of the weavers also they were suffering with nutritious diseases like disease of epidemics, you can also say, and this even lead for hunger deaths. Okay, so this is what we say how the subsistence crisis occurred. So this is also one of the situation in the France during the French Revolution. Okay, you can see here how the people were struggling during the subsistence crisis. People were standing in the queues, and they were forming a queues over for the bread to buy a loaf of breads in the colonies. See, and then you have a question here. Children, please answer this. Division of power within the government was put forth in. Division of power within the government was put forth in. The division of power. The government powers should be divided. So it was a statement given by a person. I'll tell you who is that person. And before that, what this division of powers, where it was put forwarded by the person, and before going for the person, you answer me in which book it was been included. It's like the two treaties of the government, the spirit of the laws, Le Montier Universal, and the social contract. In which of these following this was put forth? Yes, any answers? Yes, the answer is the spirit of laws. The spirit of laws, this concept was incorporated by famous persons. You can see over here. Here you can see same famous philosophers and thinkers of the European countries. You can these people have brought the change in the society. Okay, they made the people to think what is right and which is wrong to the society. Why they should fight for their rights. They made the people to realize. So that's why we call them as the philosophers and thinkers. The famous thinkers, the first one you can see here, this is a picture about John Locke in 1632 to 1704. He was one of the person. He made the people and insists the people that every people have rights naturally. By birth, they should get rights. Okay, so especially such as life, liberty and property also. In those days, even France, countries have been made some restrictions on properties even. Okay. So next you can see Montesquieu. This is a person, Charles Louis Montesquieu. He have made some special arrangement in the government system that it should be having a separate branches, 3 branches today what we are following, like legislative, executive and judiciary, which is framed by this Montesquieu. That is, power of the government should be separated with different bodies. That is legislature, the legislature, second one executive, and third one is judiciary. So these 3, that is separation of branches is required, was told by this Montesquieu. And the most important one is Rousseau, and this person, he have expressed the people, he made the people to think that people are enter into the society with a social contract, okay, within their government, giving its right to create and enforce the laws. People are created in the society freely, so they can enforce the laws. They can have a right to create a laws. So he says that we are bound into the society, so we were not privileged. Some of the people should not be given on any privileges. Like all the people by birth, they have a right to enforce the laws, or they are applicable for laws. So this was mentioned by Rousseau. So these three persons says about this. The 2 treaties, you can say that Social Contract was a book wrote by Next, here was a question for you children. Which of the following refuted the doctrine of divine and the absolute rights? The same thing, divine and absolute rights. Who was the person who was saying that the doctrine of divine and absolute rights? It's John Locke. It was the answer, and this was a person. John Locke was a person who says that by birth we have a right. Okay, that doctrine of rights, that is, the only God have a right. No other human beings have a superiors to others. Okay, that means no monarch should enjoy his rights, and he cannot treat the people as common people as and he can't discriminate them. Okay, so he mean to say that everyone are equal. Everyone have equal rights. Yeah. You can see here growing of middle classes. So because of these 3 thinkers, this especially the main, there was changes have come in the France among the middle classes. So let us have now a look of, okay, now let us go now what has taken place in 17. So till now we have come across the situations in the France. What was the situations in the France before the 1789 revolution? So let us have a look. One more thing you need to be know. Sorry. Okay. 1789, before this, the France society was mainly a three category of people. The people was divided on three categories. One is clergy, nobility, and third one is third estate. In these areas, the common category of people were included. So this first one is first estate. So you may get a question that what are the estates in the French society? The French society was divided into three estates. Estate 1 is clergy, estate 2 is nobility, and the third estate says about the common people. In this, even many of the businessmen, workers, lawyers, peasants, and many more are included in this third estate. So here, one thing to be noted here, that is clergies are the people who belongs to the church and the related people. So these people were, they don't pay any type of taxes. In return, churches were paid taxes by the people. Okay, and nobilities, these were the kings and autocratic members, and these were also, they were not paying any type of taxes. So, and only the last one, that is third estate category of people, were paying taxes. So why this taxes, why this category of people were only paying tax? If it is today, the people may question. Okay, so in 1789, the people, by the famous thinkers and philosophers, they started realizing why we should pay, why only one estate people has to pay the taxes. Okay, so this was a situation, this was a segregation of the people in the France. Okay, so here we see about three estates now. Coming for the first most important thing is, as these three estate people, once the Louis XVI think to increase the taxes, when he thinks to increase the taxes, this he can't directly increase the tax. As per the old regime, in 1624, there was a system made that according to whenever the king has to increase the taxes or any such type of decisions, he need to conduct a session, or he need to gather the people in the estate general, and all the three estate category of people, they will represent their representatives in that, and with their approval only the king can increase the taxes. So in such situations, king calls all the three estate representatives for the estate general meeting. Okay, so king calls to increase the taxes. He want to put his proposal in front of all the three estates. Okay, so let us see now. This is the hall, Versailles Palace. Here the people were gathered here in this meeting. You can see that there are some representatives also. From clergy, there are 300 people, that means first estate, and from second estate, representatives are 300, and from third estate, the representatives are 600. Okay, so totally 1200 representatives have attended this estate general meeting on 5th May 1789. Okay, please be noted this point, children. So all the 1200 people, and these 600 people were sitting in the front order like this. You can see here. Okay, but the remaining 600 were standing behind them. Those who are paying taxes were considered as a discriminated, and king will put forward his proposal. What was his proposal? Can I know what was his proposal? To increase the taxes. He want to increase the taxes. He put front of the general that he want to increase the taxes. So, okay, so that what, and he asked the voting of each estate one vote, each estate one vote. So that movement, these 600 people do not accepted, they did not accepted this proposal. They expected the king to give a person a vote. Okay, that means all the 1200 should vote. So the people have said that, these people have said that it's not a estate one vote, we require to person one vote. So for that, King Louis XVI do not accept for it, and it did not accept it, and these people will walk out from the estate general meeting, and thereafter they starts this revolution. So this was the beginning of the revolution before the Bastille demolished. So Bastille demolished took place in the July 14th. Okay, it happened in May 5th, 1789. So after that, let us see now from May 5th onwards where these people have gathered. You can see so this is the Bastille, children. It's a Bastille which was demolished during 1789 on the 14th July. Okay, so let us see now. After this, there was a gatherings have took place, and this you can see the gatherings after the May 5th. After May 5th, there was a national gatherings have been took place, and people started discussing on how to fight against these rights, for their rights. Okay, so in such courses of time, they formed a national assembly, and in the outdoor tennis court, they gathered there, and this meeting, you need to be noted, are two persons names, Mirabeau, or Mirabeau. He was a person, and he was a journalist, and he have come from the noble family, even though he have fighted for the middle class people for their rights. Okay, and other one, Abiasius, and this person belonged to, he was a priest. Okay, when this person was a member and a supporter of this National Assembly, and this basis has been prepared one pamphlet for Third Estate. It's called a pamphlet of Third Estate. Please be noted this, children, the pamphlet which is designed as a Third Estate, the pamphlet name Third Estate. Okay, so it was designed by Abises. Okay, so this Abises also, these two people have lead the in the beginning this revolution, and it was spreaded within days all over the France. Okay, so you can see that after that the Bastille was demolished in the July month. Then after that, after the Bastille demolished, the king was unable to manage the situations, and he flew away to escape his life, to save his life along with his wife. Okay, so after that, that means from 1789 to 91. So in the 1791, there was whatever the National Assembly was formed, it has drafted a constitution, and on that basis in 1792, please be noted, children, in 1792, France has become republic in the form of constitutional monarch. Constitutional monarch, in the sense the monarch will be headed, but he do not have complete power. Okay, you can say that, you can see here, this monarch will be as an executive only. Okay, he will be, his powers are been reduced. Okay, his powers are being controlled by the legislations. Okay, and let us have a look how this in 1791, after 1792 to 93, during the period of Republic in France, this was a system existing here. Before that, you need to be noted here, there are people were considered after republic two categories. The people were considered under two categories, that is active citizens, passive citizens. Active citizens were the citizens entitled to vote, those who have vote right. Okay, under vote right, in what criteria they have considered? They have considered the people, especially those who are paying tax of minimum of 3 to 4 days of their wage. Those who are paying as a tax, they are considered as a voting right, those who are earning. But whereas passive citizens, in this, those who are not earning, those who are especially like women and children were also considered under this passive citizens. Please be noted, children, women, children and youth below 25 years, those who are not earning, okay, considered as a passive citizens. Okay, so let us have look here. This is like this, the voting rights were been given here, and these people were electing the representatives for the parliament, that is electorates. That 50,000 men were been selected. Out of them, 745 were formed into National Assembly, and these were the lawmakers, legislatives. And for these legislative people will be headed by king, and is only as a nominal head, and his powers have been reduced. Other than that, there is also a judiciary, a separate organ to supervise this category of people. Next, you can see here the rights. Once France has become a republic, they have drafted its constitution, and you can see this rights of the men, and a declaration over what type of rights the men have during this constitution. Just let us have another one. So question here, which of the following symbolize eternity? Spectre, eye within a triangle radiating light, the law tablet, snake biting its tail to form a ring. Have you heard these names ever? Yes? Have you heard these names? See, in France during the revolution time, and there are some symbols were been created. Okay, there are some symbols were created in the France during this revolution, and in change of people, they have formed some symbols there. So the symbols are representing these type of statements. So let us have which symbol is symbolizing the eternity. Okay, that was the question. My question is that which symbol is being symbolizing the eternity? What it says, eternity says what? So you can have a look in this, that snake biting its tail to form a ring. Ring in the sense it has a form of, that means that eternity means nothing but it doesn't have a end or tail. Okay, so I'll show you the image of that, you can understand it clearly. You can see these are the symbols here. This one, that means it's forming into a ring. It does not have an end or tail. It represents eternity. Please be noted down, children. These symbols are very, very important. The eye in a triangle. The eye is showing the vision to the people. New vision was shown to the people, as they were in the previous years. They were only ordered by the kings, and they just followed their rules and all. The people do not have the vision. Okay, so you can see that this eye represents its vision, and this surroundings, it's a sun rays. These rays are removing the ignorance in the people. Okay, so the raises represents, the raises symbolizes, the sun raises symbolizes that it removes the ignorance from the people. Okay, you need the spectre, it's showing the power of the king, power of the people. Like this is the cap which has been used by the people who are been under the slaves, like who were as slaves among them. Here was a match the following for you. Let us have a look over this. Please read out this match the following. Yes. Yeah. Read out. Match the following. Match the column A with B. Estates belongs to a king or a noble. A king or a noble, an estate consisting of lords, land and its manor, a tax directly paid to the state, a tax heaved by a church equal to 1/10 of the agriculture product. Here option A, these, option B, thyle, option C, chet, option D is a manor. You can tell me which is the answer for this. Which one of the following was an answer? Yes. Have a look to this question. Can you see? Yes, I'll tell you. See, estates belong to a king or a noble man. It's nothing but is a church. Church is a where a king or a noble related person that estate is belong to, that is called as church. Okay, and the next one, the estate consisting of landlords and his manor. So that whatever the landlords owning his manor, he is been called as manor, who is been headed like in India we have jamindars, jagidars, like that. There we call it as a manor. Okay, next one, a tax directly paid to the estate. I'll write it. This is C. This is D. Now, a tax directly paid to the estate, to the state. State in the sense the government or a king before the revolution. Okay, that what is it? It's thyle. The thyle is a tax which is paid directly to the state. Okay, and this is a tax which is paid by the agricultural peasants to the church. So whatever they are producing, out of their yield, 1/3 of his produce has to be given to churches. They have to give to churches. 1/3 of their portion they should pay to the church. Okay, so this is one of the tax where peasants were paying to the from their agriculture product. They have to pay to the church. That was A. So our option is A. Okay, I think you have understood. Okay, so you need to be, remember there are two types of taxes. One is direct tax, indirect tax. Direct taxes are these taxes which are paid to the state, and taxes they are paying to the church and all direct taxes. Along with these taxes, there is also indirect taxes like what today we pay like on goods, items like salt, common salt and different products. We pay the taxes. No, in the same way, indirect taxes were also posed on the people, that is on essential goods. Okay, so indirect tax. Indirect tax on goods, especially you can take example like salt, tobacco. Okay, so like this you can also say. Let us have a next question. Yeah, then here you have another batch of the following children. Match the following historical years with the event mentioned against them. 1774, 1789, 1804, 1815. Battle of Waterloo and defeat of Napoleon. 1789, Napoleon became the Emperor of France. Louis XVI became the King of France. Bastille was demolished. Which of these following you can match, children? Please check it. 1774. Anyone can answer? First one, tell me which option we can take. Which option you can choose for this? 1774, Louis XVI was become a king of France. It's option C. And 1789, Bastille was stormed. 1804, Napoleon has become a king. Let us have who is this Napoleon. And 1715, Napoleon was defeated at Waterloo. Okay, so before this, let us have a look. I'll tell you who is this Napoleon. See, after 1789, this is, please note it down, this years. It was a revolution, French Revolution. From 1791, it is the constitution was framed. That's constitutional monarchy system was developed in the France. From 1791 to 92 to 93, the France was republic. Okay, from 1793, again there was a change in the France. Okay, after the revolution also, there were a lot of changes have took place in the France. That is, in 1793 to 4, there was a person has come in between. This period is nothing, the person name is nothing but his name is Robespierre, Jacobin Robespierre. He formed some Jacobin clubs. Through that clubs, he inspired the people and he gathered the people, and finally he have pulled the government, and he removed the republic system in the France and forcibly took the power under his control. He has took the power under his control from 1793 to 94. So 93 to 94, that period was called as a terror, reign of terror. You can please note it down, children. Which period is called a reign of terror in the France is nothing but 1793 to 94 was a reign of terror in the France. 1793 to 94 was a reign of terror in the France. Okay, so during this period, why it was called as a terror, in the sense the France was completely under his brutal system. He has treated the people as slaves, and he have made many of the changes in this system. Again, he have overthrown this republic, and he have made the nation by introducing a machine called guillotine. Please be noted this. Guillotine. Guillotine was a machine which is introduced by Guillotine, the Dr. Guillotine. Okay, Dr. Guillotine has introduced this guillotine machine. This is a machine which has been having an axis blade like. Okay, have you ever seen that a blade where the person has bowing his head on this blade, and the blade falls on his head, and the head and body gets separated. So this is called a guillotine machine. This machine was brought by this Robespierre. Whoever doesn't follow his policies and principles, he used to keep in this guillotine machine, and he used to kill them under this machine. Okay, so this, to that he has created a terror among the people. Even the same in his followers also started hating him, and finally he was also kept in this machine and he was killed by. And one more thing point to be noted, children, after 1789, when Robespierre took power in 1793, he even made Louis XVI and Mary Antoinette also he have made them, he have declared them as a treason of the country. That means as a guilt of a nation, and for both of them, he approved them as a guilt of a nations, and he have crucified them on this guillotine mission. And finally, Robespierre was also guillotined by this and in this mission itself, okay, because of his behavior and his policies. Okay, so point to be noted, children, there. And coming so after this, and one more thing, children, I forgot you. Okay, so this is about reign of terror. So when the reign of terror, after this situation, after Robespierre was guillotined, then the France was under the control of directorate. You point to be noted, children. In 1794 too, there was a change came again in the people, and the military took the control. Okay, from 1794 to 1804, there was a directorate in the sense a group of people under the military supervision. Then as the directorate have taken the control of the nation, okay, till 1804. Okay, so that time the directorate, the military head was none other, that is Napoleon Bonaparte. You can see here the Napoleon name. Okay, so Napoleon was the military head from 1794 to 1804, and officially in 1804 Napoleon was declared as a king. Officially from 1804 to 1815, from 1804 to 1815, Napoleon was as a king, officially king. From 4 to 15, he was an officially king, and finally he was defeated in a battle called Waterloo by a group of alliances or group of countries. Okay, a group of countries at Waterloo. In that battle, he has been defeated. Okay, at Waterloo, Napoleon has been defeated and he was prisoned. So this will be about French Revolution, children. Okay, so let us have a, I think you understood the French Revolution. About Napoleon in detail, we will go in our next class with the nationalism in Europe. And there was also important role of women in the French Revolution. Women, when men are engaged in the French Revolution, women also taken part in maintaining the family and doing the domestic chores, and they were been doing different types of tasks like vendors, like and fruit sellers. Different types of tasks they have done, and sieving machines and all. So they have survived their families. So as soon as they expected some changes may take place, they may also get rights, they thought. But once the constitutional monarch system has come in 1791, they were disappointed, and they were struggled again to fight for their rights. So that's about, and let us go for the next topic, the Russian Revolution. Let us go for the other country. What happened in the Russia? That is 1789 French Revolution in the Russia in the beginning of 20th century. Beginning of 20th century, the Russian Revolution. In 1917, this Russian Revolution has took place. Okay, so during this time there was a war, 1914 to 1918 to 19. There was World War I was going on. Okay, so during the World War I, there was a revolution in Russia. So let us have a look what was the changes come in the Russia to lead a revolution. Okay, so let us have about Russian Revolution. You can see it has developed a communist nation, how it has come from monarchical rule to this form of. Here was a question for you. Which of the following was the ruler of Russia during the World War I? During the World War I, who was the ruler of this country? During the Russian Revolution also you can tell who was the ruler in the Russia. It's the person is Tsar Nicholas. Tsar Nicholas was the king of Russia. You can see the Russian country is a very big nation. During that time, the present day Estonia, Lithuania, Belarus, Ukraine, Georgia, Armenia, all these were also a part of Russia only. This is a present day Russian map. But today, during the revolution time, during the First World War, all these nations were also included with Russia only. Okay, after the forming of these states, it was divided. Let us have a look about Tsar dynasty rulers. Here are some of the rulers: Tsar Nicholas I, Tsar Alexandria, Tsar Alexandria II, Alexandria III, and this was a person who was Nicholas II. Tsar was a dynasty. Tsar Nicholas was a king during the World War I. Now, liberals did not believe him. Liberals do not believe in. What do they do not believe? Secularism, right to individuals, represent form of government, and universal adults franchise. So, which one they do not believe? Yes, any answers? Yeah, answer is universal adults franchise. Liberals do not believe that everyone have voting right. Let us have a look. Europe society, till now in the France we have read about France society was divided into 3 estates. Okay, the society was divided, but here the ideology of people, Europe society, whole Europe have different types of ideology of thinking levels in the people on their ideology. They were been divided into these categories, that is liberals, radicals and conservatives. This first order of people, conservatives means those who are monarchs and autocrats and bureaucrats who believes to exist in the whole order of system which is called monarchical system. Okay, so they wanted to live in that format. We call them as conservatives. Okay, these people do not believe in rights and all. They want to get a privileges. Okay, but whereas liberals and radicals are different. Liberals, if you take a point of liberals, there are their category, this type of people, their ideologies are different. Liberals want to get free from their people to get rights. Okay, they want to get rights to get free from and they don't want to they believes that the countries were tolerating religions, tolerance towards the religion. They expect tolerance towards the religion. They believes that complete Europe, many of the nations were under the control of a system called religion. Okay, that is nothing, that is Catholics churches, under the control of Catholics. Only one religion is ruling the nations, that monarchs were under the control of religions control. So the liberals believes that we need a tolerance of religion. Okay, they expect the government should be under the tolerance of religions. Okay, next other category of people, radicals. These people, they expect universal adults franchise, and they are also here the people are different way of thinking. levels, their levels were also little bit okay. Let us have radicals were want to say that government was based on the category they were want to majority of the country's population. Based on radicals were thinking that the majority of decisions should be taken on based on people's. Okay, so they were also expecting the universal adults franchise. So these were the three type of ideologies existing in the Europe during this 20th century beginning. Which of the following refers to women right? Women do not have any types of rights. Okay, so to get out right, they have did certain movements also, which is called vote right. Which among the following is called as vote right for women? Yes, your answer is suffragette. Okay. Next comes for beginning. We have come across from 19th century. There was a changes come in the industrial sector. That means development of industries have took place. Okay, from 1780s there was a revolution. There has come machines have been invented, but coming with the 18th century 1850s to 1900 there was a development of industries rapid. Okay, so during this course of time many industries were came into flourish. So once the industrial sectors have been developed, especially industries were also come up in Europe. Okay, so in European countries, wherever the industries have developed, that clutches were being completely faced some problems. Even some of the challenges faced in these people, especially middle classes. Even here middle classes people were unable to get proper employment, and their conditions were very worst. Even though were employed in these industries, they were paid less wages. Their working conditions very were poor, and their working hours also were more. So in such cases there was a changes have come, social changes. People expect some change in the society. Okay, so these changes during the industrial revolution, after the industrial revolution, it has went into peak stages. Okay, so which lead for the revolution in the Russia. Russia was a vast country where the revolution have come. So before that, let us have a look about coming of socialism in Europe. So this is a person, Robert Owen, in 1771 to 1858, is an English manufacturer. He believed that the idea of cooperatives, see, to develop an industry, this person to establish an industry, those who have a capital, those who invest the capital, they can create a profits. Okay, so but this person has initiated to develop a cooperatives, in the sense support of government, they can establish some industries. So these industries can through the cooperative societies we can make some profits, and that can be shared among the peoples. Okay, among a group of community. So cooperative community is called, first time he introduced in, and it's called as New Harmony. Okay, it was a New Harmony in England. He is the first person to introduce this cooperatives in Europe. Next, Louis Balk. He was also a person who has been contributed towards these cooperatives in the nations, European countries. And let us have a before going further. Okay, let us have. So when there was a middle classes were suffering at that moment, there was people were fighting for their rights and their working conditions to be improved. Many areas social groups have been formed. So those groups were called as socialist democratic republics. Like, okay, so these parties slowly converted into socialist parties, and some of these socialist parties were we will read about in the Russian Revolution. So before that, one incident I would like to tell you about. In 1905, there was an, please be noted this children, 1905, in 1905, during this, from the middle classes, there was an incident occurred in the France in 1905 when the working conditions were out of control. People were unable to find their justification. So in such cases, they have started a revolution, started a protest. Okay, and this was headed by Father Ganop. Father Gapon. Father Gapon was a person who was headed for this protest, and these people have led a movement. Okay, so in this movement, thousands of people have went to the Winter Palace, which is the palace of residency of this king. Okay, so they have went a protest to this Winter Palace. All these workers, they were expecting some demands. The demand one is their working condition, increase the wages, increase the wages. Okay, and third one is working hours. See, today the working hours like 8 hours. Okay, but whereas there was no particular working hours, 24/7 the people used to work all the day. Okay, so industries used to work like that. So people do not have any but specified working hours. So whole 24 hours the work used to be go on in the Russia. So these people, they were expecting some change. Once the parties were formed in different countries, in Germany and in Britain and in Russia also, many parties have been formed, socialist parties have formed to justify the people. Okay, so in such cases, these countries, they were fighting for this right. The Father Gapon was a person who was headed by this, and they gathered at the Winter Palace. But this protest was been suppressed by the Tsar family, and the police and Kazoks have been suppressed the people by killing them. Like 100 of people have been killed in this movement. Please be noted, children, hundreds of people have killed in this on the particular day, and thousands of people have been injured, and these workers are like 1,10,000 workers have lead this movement to the Winter Palace. And you can also be noted down here, Father Ganap was a person who has been headed by this, and this has took place in 1805 on one Sunday. On Sunday, so it's called as Bloody Sunday. Okay, so this is what called Bloody Sunday. You can see here which incident in Russia is known as a Bloody Sunday. It was an incident in which more than 100 workers who were leading a peaceful procession to Tsar were killed, and it was a day. Which one is the right option? It was a day when the First World War broke out. It was a day when Russia Revolution was occurred, and it was a day when Tsar was hanged. It was, the option is A. It was the Winter Palace. Okay. Now let us see now Russian Revolution. You can see here this even child labor was more during the Russian Industrial Revolution time. Child labor. Why? Because to clean the machines and all, children were easily movable under the machines and all, and even many of the children lost their lives during the industrialization, as the machines, children were not knowing how the machines, and they were crushed under the machines and all. Okay, so you can see the child labor and child discrimination during the industrialization. Now let us have a look here. See, so the first and most outcome of the Russian Revolution is that after the Russian Revolution, and first thing is that the Russia was engaged war in the 1914 to 17, 1919 actually the war has ended, World War I, but in between in 1917 itself, due to the revolution in Russia, the Russia has been withdrawn. So why Russia as it withdrawn? That is the one most immediate cause is that there was once there was a protest started in the factories and all. A fine day, that is at a factory, a woman started a revolution that due to the war war's consequences, many of the factories were unable to produce their goods, and many during the World War, Russian country was destructed in the landforms and railway tracks, and all these goods were not able to supply to the factories. They were unable to get on the works. Okay, and at the same time there was a shortage of food in the Russia. So when Russia was supplying food supply to the warriors, okay, so in such cases there was a scarcity in the country. So food scarcity, and people were unable to live a peaceful life during the World War I. So all these reasons lead for Russian people to think that that king did not taken a right step to involve in the war. So these people, that particular moment in 70s, 1917 Russian Revolution period. When was the Russian Revolution took place? In 1719, you can tell it. Okay, 1719 was a period Russian Revolution was took place. Okay, so 70s, the Russian people were expecting a demand that to withdraw from the war. Okay, so expecting peace and bread. Peace and bread. Okay, so they were expecting peace and bread. So to maintain a peace in the country, and one more reason is that there was a person in the country, Tsar family. Okay, there was some anti-Tsar person, that is Rasputin. Rasputin was one of the monk who was a member in the Tsar parliament. Okay, he has some illegal contacts with the his princess, Tsar Austrian. Okay, so she has manipulated and all because of Rasputin and all, and even Tsar did not take approval from the parliament. That parliament is nothing but Duma. Russian parliament is called Duma. Okay, so Tsar did not take approval whether to involve in the war or not. Without approval of Duma, he has just taken a decision to involve in the World War. So this also the parliament members started against the Tsar family, and Rasputin, he manipulated the people of the parliament, and he has blamed the Tsar as an different negatively among him. Okay, so in that cases, people started walked out from the Duma, and there were no party was supporting the Tsar. Okay, so that at the same moment, there was also a revolution among the people. Different groups were formed, working groups were formed by some of the parties also, and which lead for Bolsheviks and all. See, let us have a look about here. I'll tell you. Yes, this is the party, Russian Socialist Democratic Party. So this party was the socialist party in the beginning. Okay, so later on, this party, due to the ideologies, it has been divided into two parties. One is Bolsheviks, other one is Menshevik, which is been here Vladimir Lenin, and the one is Kerensky. So these are the two persons with the two different ideologies. The Vladimir Lenin wanted to order the people to maintain a proper order like the monarchs and all, but whereas Kerensky has a different type of okay. So in this process, even many of the parties have developed, many of the small groups have been developed during this time, and all these groups were being brought by Lenin under one party, which we called as Bolsheviks, working party. Okay, workers party, or we called as Soviets. They are called as Soviets, a group. Soviets is nothing but groups of farmers, soldiers, and workers, and different are gathered by Lenin. So Lenin was the most important person during this Russian Revolution. You can see. So in 17 October Revolution, the first one is October Revolution. In 1717, Bolsheviks elections conducted to the Constitution Assembly, but Bolsheviks failed to get a majority. Okay, so in first time, you need to be note 2 points here. There are two revolutions. 1917, one revolution, freeze and bread to get a withdraw from the war. Okay, so that is 1917's first one is February Revolution, or at few places it gives March Revolution. So during this time, Tsar will be abdicated his throne. He will give up his throne, and a temporary government will be developed, and the temporary government also failed to stop the war or withdraw from the war, and that temporary government will be suspended, and Bolsheviks will be taken under their control. Okay, so in that cases, in 1917, there was a assembly was conducted, and it was failed to get a majority. So at that moment, there was also another war take place in the, it's called as October Revolution in 1970s. Okay, so finally, in after 1917 October Revolution, Lenin have took the control of the Russia. Okay, so then there was also, after the Lenin has come into power, even there was a conflict raised among the people. Okay, different other parties like Kerensky and different Tsar conservatives also raised issues with the support of outside foreign countries. Okay, with the support of Britain and France and all. They lead a war within the country, so which is called a civil war between the Bolsheviks Red Army and the Socialist Green Army and pro-Tsars White Army. Okay, so there was a civil war. Finally, Lenin has won the war and took complete power under his and he developed a communist nation. Okay, he developed a communist nation. Let us go. What is this communist, children? So before going for the communist nation, you need to know about two great personalities. This is the person most important to be known to everyone, that is Karl Marx, who was a main person behind the communism. Okay, so this person have laid a foundation to this under the principles of Friedrich Engel. Okay, so these two persons were the main roots of the communist countries. So there was also a point to be noted, children, during this Russian Revolution in 1970s, there was also a body developed to support the socialist countries, that is Second International. Second International body, please be noted this, Second International body to support the socialist countries. So where the socialist countries were starting parties to establish the communist countries, earlier there was a called as Second International body, which is supporting the socialists. But later on, after Karl Marx and the Friedrich principles, Lenin has developed called in 1919 Comintern. Please be noted this, in 1919, supporting the countries, an organization has formed by Lenin to support the socialist or to support the communist countries in the world. Okay, so Lenin was a base for the Russia. So Russian completely brought under control by the Lenin. So as soon as he came into power, he took withdraw from the war, and he have made a peace agreement with Germany. Okay, and he withdrew from the war. You can see 1920 Bolsheviks control most of the Russian territories, and the state was formed in 1922, and later on in 1922 it was divided into USSR. After the Second World War, many of the countries have got independent. They do not want to exist with their special rights and all. People started a new form of democratic form of government, and in such cases many of the countries they started realizing that their rights, especially in the communist countries, they do not have complete freedom. They were under the control of the communist parties. Okay, so after Lenin was the first Russian Union from 1920s to 24. After Lenin die, okay, after Lenin die, Stalin will come into form. You can have a look. This is the person, Stalin, and he introduced the 5-year planning in 1928 to 32, and under two schemes, collectivization and industrialization, he have developed the Russia in all the areas, and he brought many changes. Workers conditions also improved during the Stalin period. And also not only this, during the Great Depression, it was an economical depression. During this period from 1929 to 39, world countries have suffered a lot, economically crisis, and no production, and people were unable to get a proper food even. But during this particular time, even due to the Stalin policies and all, Russia was safe from the Great Depression crisis. Okay, so that is also one of the point to be noted here. You can see the Russia. It's a present day Russia. You can see here. See, after Stalin, you can see after Stalin, the communist still 1985, the Russia was under the control of communist, and in 1924, please be noted this, children. See, from 1928 to 38 till the Stalin period, the communist country, it was existing as a communist countries, and under the Russian unions. Okay, after when the USSR was formed in 1922, 1922 USSR was formed. Okay, that means Soviet Socialist Republic, USSR, the Russia was changed into USSR. Okay, in 1920 under the Bolsheviks control. Okay, after this some of the nations got independent and came out. Okay, you can see here in 1985 to 91 it was a great change has come in the Russian country during the Gorbachev period. Okay, he has introduced, he was a reformer of perestroika and glasnost, means economically he brought some changes and he disintegrated Russia. Disintegrated means whatever the USSR was there, he have disintegrated the countries, and he brought a new policies in the country. You can have a look the important dates. Please be take a note over here. 1898 the formation of Socialist Democratic Party. The first time the party was formed in Russia. Socialist Party was formed in Russia. 1904 revolution in Russia led by Muslims. Children, this one also please be noted. There was a movement called Jihadist, especially Russia. In Russia there are different religion people were existing, and most of them were Christians. Along with them there was also many other like West Asian countries which are included. We can say that Muslims. Okay, those countries also were trying to get whole Russia under their control. Okay, they wanted to bring the Russia under the Islamic nation. So under that process they have lead a movement called Jihadist movement to establish a Islamic nation. Okay, so that movement was called Jihadist movement, and that you can see here 1904. And in 1905 the workers in January a bloody Sunday, and in 1905 Socialist Party, that is Bolsheviks party, was established and it was renamed as a Communist Party. Okay, and you need to be noted an important point. The Russian Revolution started by a woman in a place called Selesliva, and there that a woman started a protest that with empty stomach in 1970s February Revolution. During the month of February, a woman started that she was unable to get a work, unable to work. There was, with the empty stomach, she was unable to work in the factory. So she, when the manager come and approach her, she burst like anything that with an empty stomach how could I work. So during that moment she was offered a bread, but she did not accepted it, and she said that I'm not the one who was suffering like this, there are many more who were suffering in such a conditions. Okay, so Velisa, this was a lady who was been considered as a most important person in the February Revolution. Later on, they went on. Many of the factories have joined this movement, especially women. Okay, so during that movement, there was a day when she have begun a movement, that is which comes under March. Okay, from March. Today we celebrate it as a March 8th, but whereas it comes in the February 22nd as per the calendar of Gregorian calendar in Russia. Okay, but what Julian's calendar, and today we are following the Gregorian calendar. As per the calendar, our calendar, it is English calendar, that is March 8th, whereas the Julian calendar, which is followed during that particular time in Russia, it's February 27 when the woman started. So that day, her courage, to recognize her courage and all, the world countries recognized that day as a Women's Day. You can see the Russian countries here. It's a river Neva. Children, Neva, where the February Revolution began. People started, see, one side of the country, one side of this bridge was completely the Winter Palace and all the other bureaucrats and different officials were existing, and the other side the working classes and all people have passed this river Neva and enter into the Winter Palace, and they lead the protest in the parliament and Duma. You can see the river Neva here. Okay, so this is today's our session. Okay, I hope you have understood my class and it has helpful to you all for your NTSE. All the best for your NTSE and prepare well for your sessions and keep practicing the objective bits. Yes. Done.